A very pleasant morning, students. In the last class, we have seen the prose Gopal and the Hills of Fish. In the lesson, we have learnt about how Gopal has faced the challenge thrown at him. And the way he faced the challenge leaves the moral value: nothing is impossible. Today, before I start the session, I would like to share a small thing with you. In my childhood, I used to hear lots of ghost stories. My sisters used to threaten me. I hope you too have the same experience. You would have also heard so many ghost stories, and you may also have fear to face the darkness. But if you ask me now whether you believe ghost, I say no, I don't believe ghost. But I believe our mind is either God or ghost. Whenever we do something good or we think good for others, then we are the God. When we think bad for others and when we do something bad to others, then we are the ghost. I hope you students have understood the concept of ghost. So, one thing is clear: if you do good things, you will get good in your life. That is what the proverb given here says. As you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever you do, the reflection will be in your life. Keep that in mind and take the step accordingly. You students might have wondered why ma'am has talked about ghosts unnecessarily here. Today we are going to learn the poem The Shed from your Honeycomb book. Here in this poem the poet talks about ghost. Let's hear it. Do you know what is shed? We could have heard about cow shed, wood shed, tool shed. What is that? Look at this picture, children. This is a shed. A shed is a place where we can store things which we use rarely. We can keep animals also there. This poem, The Shed, is written by Frank Flynn. Frank Flynn was born on 6th December 1906 and educated in Sydney. He received MBBS with first class honours in 1930. He was a Northern Territory based Australian doctor. He was an ophthalmologist, author and missionary priest. He is notable for his contribution to religion, medicine and Aboriginal welfare. Students, before I start to explain, let me read the poem line by line. You people follow so that you can familiarize with the words and also the pronunciation. The shed. There is a shed at the bottom of our garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. When I am in my bed, I lie and I listen. I'll open the door one day. There is a dusty old window around at the side with 3 cracked panes of glass. I often think there is someone staring at me each time that I pass. I'll peep through that window one day. My brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards, and if I ever dare to set foot inside, he'll jump out and chop off my head. But I'll take a peek one day. I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises. And the spider has been gone from his web since I don't know when. I'll go into that shed one day soon. But not just yet. Written by Frank Flynn. Students, now let me explain stanza by stanza. There is a shed at the bottom of our garden with the spider's web hanging across the door. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. When I am in bed, I lie and listen. I'll open the door one day. Here in the stanza, the poet explains that at the bottom of his house garden, there is a shed. There were spiders' web hanging across the door as it is not used for so long. And the hinges are rusty. Hinges means the joints of the door. You could see it in this picture. Hinges are rusty. Rusty means when the iron gets old, it will be affected by rust. And because of this rust, there will be a creak. Creak means high-pitched sound. In the wind, when the door moves, there is a creak. When the poet lies on his bed, he listens to the sound of the creak and he tells to himself that he'll open the door one day. Because the poet is very curious what is there in the shed, what is inside the shed. So he is telling to himself that he'll go to that shed one day. Stanza 2. There is a dusty old window around at the side with 3 cracked panes of glass. Now look at this window, students. This is the window of the shed which has cracked panes of glass. Panes means the single glass sheet which is used for window. This is called panes. 3 cracked panes of glass there in the window. Cracked means broken panes of glass. I often think there is someone staring at me each time that I pass. I'll peep through that window one day. If the window is closed fully, then the poet would have not afraid, but it has some cracked panes of glass so that the poet feels that someone is inside and staring at him through that cracked pane. So whenever he passes by the shed, he feels that some person is staring at him and he is telling to himself that he'll peep through that window one day. Peep through means look quickly through the narrow opening. Stanza 3. My brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards, and if I ever dare to set foot inside, he'll jump out and chop off my head. But I'll take a peek one day. So already the poet is curious about the shed. He feels that somebody is inside, somebody is staring at him. Into that, adding fuel to the fire, the poet's brother also says him that there is a ghost in the shed. It is always hiding itself under the rotten floorboard. Rotten means very old floorboards. See, you could have watched it in many of the English movies. They used to have wooden floors. So here the wooden floor is damaged. So the brother says that the ghost hides himself under the rotten floorboard, and whenever the poet tries to get inside the shed, the ghost will be waiting readily, and if he set foot inside the shed, it will chop off his head. Chop off means cut into pieces. It will chop off the poet's head. Like that, the poet's brother threatens the poet. Even after listening to everything, the poet says himself that, but I'll take a peek one day. Peek means look quickly. He is again saying, I'll look at the shed one day. Stanza 4. I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises, and the spider has been gone from his web. I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. Frank Flynn. The poet knows that really there is no ghost exist. But his brother frightens him that there is somebody in the shed, some ghost is in the shed, because his brother wants to use the shed solely for his own purpose. He wants to use the shed as his den. Den means a hiding place where he can alone be there and keep him comfortable with his own materials. And also the poet says that there is no person in the shed and nobody is making a strange noises from that shed. Even the spider web has gone from his web. So he feels that I'll go into that shed one day soon. But in the last line he says, but not just yet. It has not yet happened. He never have gone inside the shed. The poem is written by Frank Flynn. Students, I hope you have understood the poem. Let me recall. The poem name is The Shed. The shed is located at the bottom of the garden, and the spider's web is seen hanging across the door because the door and the shed is not used for so long. Because of the rust in the hinges, there is a creaking sound in the wind. When the poet was in his bed, he listens to the sound and he feels that one day he has to go inside the shed. Whenever the poet passes through the shed, he feels someone is inside the shed and staring at him. And the poet brother convinces him, saying that there is a ghost inside the shed. If you go inside, it will cut off your head into pieces. The poet is partially frightened, but he understands that his brother is saying lies because he has a different plan to use the shed for his own purpose. Students, in the last class, we have learned nouns. What is nouns? A noun is a name of a person, place, animal, things. Here we have the names of persons, place, animals, and things also. All these names are called nouns. These we already have learned in the previous classes. Even the last week's session I have taught you pronouns. I introduced you what is pronouns. Pronouns are the words that replaces the noun. Here they have given example pronouns I, me, she, we, they, who, that, yours, his, her, it, etc. So these words replaces the nouns so that it is called pronoun. Okay students, let's identify the pronouns from the given sentences now. He bought a new car. What is the pronoun used here? He. Give me a hug. Here the pronoun used is me. They are going to school. Here the pronoun is they. They wrote letters. Once again the pronoun is they. He is crying. He is the pronoun. She is a teacher. She is the pronoun. John is walking. There is no pronoun in the given sentence, but there is a noun, John. So now students, can you guess what pronoun can be used in the place of John? Very good. He. He is walking. My grandfather is a doctor. Is any pronoun given in this particular sentence? No, no pronoun is used. My grandfather. So in the place of my grandfather, what pronoun can we use? He. He is a doctor. Students, now let's learn personal pronoun. Personal pronouns means they refer to people or things. If the pronouns refer to people or things, then it is called personal pronoun. I already told you pronouns are the words that replaces the nouns. So the noun is being replaced, right? Those nouns are called antecedent. For example, John is walking. We have replaced the noun John with he. So he is the pronoun and John is antecedent here. The noun which is being replaced by the pronoun is called antecedent. Students, now we are going to learn about subject and object pronouns. We learnt about personal pronoun. Personal pronouns means they refer to the people or things. So these words can be used for that. I, you, we, he, she, it, they, me, you, us, him, her, it, them. All these words are personal pronouns. But we categorize it into subject pronoun and object pronoun. Subject means what or who is performing the action is called subject. Object means on whom or what the action is being performed is called object. These are the subject pronouns. When it comes in the beginning of the sentence, we use these pronouns. And usually the object will come after the verb. So these words we will use at the time. Students, now let's do this exercise. Use personal pronoun to complete each sentence. My name is Isabel and dash I am from France. Here in the bracket Isabel is given. You have to replace Isabel with another word, a pronoun. What pronoun we can use in that place? Here the speaker is Isabel and dash am Isabel. So I and I am from France. New York is not far from here. So the New York, in the place of New York, what pronoun can we use? Usually the non-living thing will be replaced with it. It is not far from here. Third one. Jane loves to jump on the trampoline. Jane is a girl. So if you want to replace Jane, what pronoun we have to use? She. She loves to jump on the trampoline. Fourth one. Mary and I went to the movies together. Here in the sentence, Mary and I, the first person is given. So I have gone along with Mary. So plural. First person plural means we have to use the pronoun we. We went to the movies together. The fifth sentence. Max and Hunter hiked up the mountain. Here we are talking about the other two persons. They are the third persons. Third person plural. So if it is third person plural, we have to use the pronoun they. They hiked up the mountain. Subject and object pronoun. They have given example. Mark sings to Jane. Mark is replaced with he. Jane is not replaced with she, but they use the word her. Usually we use the pronoun she for girls, right? But here Jane is used as object. So we have to use the object pronoun her. Now it is replaced. Jane is in the subject place. Mark is in the object place. So the Jane is replaced by she Mark is replaced by him. Now let's do these two sentences. Tom likes ice cream. Tom is the subject. So Tom must be replaced with he. He likes ice cream. Ice cream is a non-living thing, so we will use it. Both subject and object, it alone will come. Look at Gary and Jason. Look at dash. Gary and Jason. It is plural. Look at Gary and Jason. They are the object in the sentence. So we have to use an object pronoun here. For plural third person we usually use they, but it is subject pronoun, and for that object is them. Look at them. They are angry. I hope you students would have understood what is subject and object pronouns. Now let's learn reflexive pronoun. If both the subject and object are same, then we'll use reflexive pronouns. Here we have the reflexive pronoun words. For I, we have to use myself. For you, yourself. He, himself. She, herself. It, itself. We, ourselves. Plural. Plural will have VES. You can be used for singular and plural. When we use it for singular, we'll use yourself. When we address you for plural, we have to use the word yourselves. They, themselves. Now here I have given you an example. Let's learn it better. Be careful not to cut yourself with that knife. Here the sentence is imperative. Be careful. So if there is no subject, it means that you is there as subject. You be careful not to cut yourself with that knife. Our cat washes. Here we are talking about the cat. Washes whom? Itself. Our cat washes itself after every meal. So here both subject and object are same. Subject and object we talk about the same person, so that we use the reflexive pronouns here. Yourself, itself. We baked the cake by ourselves. We baked. Who baked? How? By ourselves. Come in, everybody, and find yourselves a seat. Once again, here too it is an imperative sentence, so which means that you is there, the beginning of the sentence. You come in, everybody, and find yourselves a seat. They have to find seat for themselves. So you come in and find yourselves a seat is given here. The children cleaned their room all by. The children is plural. So for plural we have to use themselves. The children cleaned their room all by themselves. Bears like to rub. Bears, plural once again. So we have to use the word themselves. Bears like to rub themselves against a tree. The bird washed. The bird, singular. We use it for animals, birds and non-living things. So for reflexive pronoun we have to use the word itself. The bird washed itself by splashing in a puddle. The players train every day to keep themselves fit. The players is a plural word. So we have to use the word themselves here. This is about reflexive pronouns, students. If you don't understand, replay and understand it better. Possessive pronoun. Possessive pronoun is a pronoun that is used to indicate possession or ownership. This pen is my pen. In the place of my pen, to show the possession, we use the word mine. This is possessive pronoun. Not your pen. Instead of saying your pen once again, we can use the word yours. We can use the word pen only one time, and let's use possessive pronoun in the place of my pen and your pen. This pen is mine, not yours. These are the possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns used to indicate possession or ownership. It belongs to whom? That is possessive pronoun. The possessive pronoun words are mine, yours, his, hers, ours, yours, theirs. We should not use apostrophe before s here. We say Santosh's pen. Apostrophe s there we will use because it is a noun. But with possessive pronoun we won't use apostrophe s. Yours, his, hers, ours, yours, theirs. Like this we have to write. Now let's learn about relative pronouns. Relative pronouns are the pronouns used to introduce the dependent clause. We already have learned dependent and independent clause. Do you remember, students? A dependent clause will always rely on the independent clause for its complete sense. So to introduce the dependent clause, we use the relative pronouns. Let's learn the relative pronouns and its usage with examples. Who refers to people. Usually we refer subject of the sentence. He who overcomes his anger subdues his greatest enemy. Who is the relative pronoun used here to refer the subject he. Whom refers to people once again, but in object place. She is the woman whom I met in Greece. Whom is the relative pronoun used to address the same woman, but as an object of the verb. She is the woman whom I met in Greece. Whose refers to possessions. Whose keys are on the kitchen counter? So whose is the relative pronoun used to refer possession. Which refers to animals and objects. In general, we can say for non-living things and animals we use which. That is not good language, which all understand not. That is not good language. That is one clause. All understand not is another clause. To relate this, we have the relative pronoun which. Next one, that. That refers to people, things and animals. It's a poor mouse that has only on hole. That is the relative pronoun used here. Where refers to places. Sign your name on the form where I have put a cross. Helps to relate both the clauses. Relative pronoun where. When refers to time. Let's cross the bridge when we come to it. Here the relative pronoun when is used. Why? Why is the relative pronoun refers to reasons. I would like to know the reason why you are so late. Why is the relative pronoun. What refers to things. Pardon me, I didn't hear what you said. Here, what is the relative pronoun? Students, today we have learnt the types of pronouns, that is personal pronoun, possessive pronoun, reflexive pronoun and relative pronoun. Students, learn the concepts thoroughly and do the given worksheet. Thank you, students.